Ladies and gentlemen, the NBK Draft Party in Atlantic City will be on June the 23rd. VIP tickets are $40. And actually, there's a one-day ticket that'll cost you $30. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to attend, and we definitely want to see you there, please make sure that you get your tickets as soon as possible because they're going to go fast. If you're an NBK member, you can already purchase your ticket. There's a link in the description of the video. There's a link tagged to your YouTube chat where if you're a member, you can go get your tickets, ladies and gentlemen. And if you put your name on the list, you got an email just the other day. So let's go ahead and get into this show, ladies and gentlemen. Keep them or dump them. Immanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin. Let's rock.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
What's poppin', ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy. Yes, we're in another episode of Keep 'em or Dump 'em. You know, we're going to do these sparingly as we continue to move throughout the playoffs and then to the offseason, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're doing Immanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin. We're going to talk about them. And I see people in the chat like, you know, what kind of episode is this? Whatever, what have you. We do it every year, folks. Keep them or dump them. Do you want to keep the players? Do you want to dump the players? Trade them? What do you want to do with these players? That's the purpose of this series. You want to keep them? Do you want to dump them? No ill will about it. That's it. Do you want to keep them or do you want to dump them, ladies and gentlemen? The phone lines are already open, so if you want to call in and get your 2 cents in, give me a call, 516-405-2246. I want to hear your thoughts on Immanuel Quickley, your thoughts on Obi Toppin. We're going to stick it to those guys. All right? We're going to stick it to those guys. We got a lot of people to get through throughout this series. Tomorrow night, though, we're going to start talking about the NBA draft and getting into that a little bit. We're going to break down what the New York Knicks draft capital looks like and talk about what might they do in the draft. And then from there, we'll start getting into possible draft picks, prospects, and all that good stuff. All right? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and, swing right into it. But I do want to remind you, and I know you just heard the advertisement, but I just want to remind you one more time, ladies and gentlemen. Your tickets for the draft party are now available, okay? So if you're a member, and I see some people who are members now, if you're a member, you have access to those tickets right now. There's a link in your YouTube chat. There's a link in the description. You get 10% discount as well. So if you're a member and you plan on attending, please make sure that you purchase your tickets and purchase them early, ladies and gentlemen, because they could go quick. Let's start with Immanuel Quickley. Let's talk about IQ. All right? Because, there's varying degrees of thoughts about Immanuel Quickley and what the Knicks should do with this young man. He's a combo guard. He's not yet. He's working on it, but he's not yet a full-blown point guard, in my opinion. But he is working on it. There are people who believe that we should just go it quickly, give Immanuel Quickley the keys and see where he goes. There are other people that believe that we need to have a veteran point guard out there to sort things out on the floor. I'm not saying either way is right or wrong, just two differences of opinion. I don't know if Immanuel Quickley actually, ladies and gentlemen, made huge jumps this season when you look at him statistically. Now, I think he came a ways in running a basketball team, and I think he's still learning But I'm not sure that, well, I'm not going to say I'm not sure. His numbers haven't jumped. Now, in the beginning of the season, he wasn't playing well at all. Tom Thibodeau stuck with him. He's averaging 11.3 points per game, 3.2 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. Now, during the end of the season, he shot, I don't even know if he shot better. He did a better job getting assists, though. Him and Obi Toppin have a nice chemistry going on. But he did a good job staying grounded, getting into the lane, and then kicking it out to open shooters. Got some other stats that I'm going to talk about with Immanuel Quickley as well. But we'll get into those. He shot 39.2% from the field. He shot 34.6% from the three-point line, 88.1% from the free throw line, and he averaged 23.1 minutes per game. Now, when you look at his contract, he doesn't make much money, which I think makes him marketable when you talk about trades and trade scenarios. His current contract in 22-23, that's next year, he makes $2.3 million. In 23-24, there's a $4.1 million team option. And if the Knicks pick up that option, which I believe they will, as long as he's a New York Knick, I believe they're going to pick up that option, or any other team. And then in 24-25, there's a $6.1 million qualifying offer. And of course, with the qualifying offer, if the Knicks make the qualifying offer to Immanuel Quickley and he declines it, then he'll be a restricted free agent. If the Knicks do not make a qualifying offer and they withdraw, then he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 24-25. Of course, the Knicks would be able to extend him before they even make that offer. So there's, plenty of options, but this is what his contract looks like currently. We got Steph in the building. Let's bring Steph in and, start breaking down and getting into this conversation about Immanuel Quickley. Steph, good afternoon. How are you feeling today? You muted.
I'm good, Sam. Hopefully you're doing well. Also, I'm looking forward to the show, actually.
Yeah. Immanuel Quickley. We're all, we just started getting into Immanuel Quickley and, his current stats. And you probably heard me read off his stats and his shooting percentages and what his current contract looks like. Right. What are your thoughts on Immanuel Quickley, as far as, I think most people want to keep him. I want to keep him. I'm not opposed to trading him if a good trade came around.
Right.
And you had to throw him into something that really does make sense for the Knicks. But for the most part, I want to keep Immanuel Quickley around because I think he has, a lot of upside to him in his game. And he's going to be, in my opinion, a contributor to a winning team one day. 94% of the chat, 65 votes, 94% of the chat says keep him. 6% say dump him. So I'd like to hear from those 6%. Yeah, 6% say dump him. And for all the people out there that ask why are we even doing this topic, those 6% of people that say dump him are the reason why you do it. Right? Because you want to hear what those thoughts are. And you want to hear why they would like to dump Immanuel Quickley. You know what I'm saying? But Steph, yeah.
Yep. Excuse my dog in the background. I would like to keep Quickley. I agree with you. I think he has a lot of upside. I think he shows potential to be a high-level contributor in this league, whether it's at the point guard, whether it's at the off guard. You could see his skill. He doesn't shoot very efficiently. I was kind of surprised at that, Sam, because we always talk about how good a shooter he is. But then when you look at the numbers, it's like 40%, 39%. But he has that potential, to shoot from all three levels, basically. He has to get better, definitely going to the rim. I like that about him. I think even though he was thrust into a playmaker role, I don't think that was the role they had envisioned for him coming in. But having to play that, it has to help his game overall, being in that situation. So his playmaking has improved. I think he's going to take, I don't know, between him and Obi, I think he's going to take the biggest leap next season, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to his development.
Wow, you think so? You think he makes the
I
biggest leap?
think so
Him-
because I think his first year, basically, he was an offensive spark plug off the bench.
Mhm.
This year, he was thrust into the role as a playmaker. He had to learn the point guard. He had to learn to think different, approach the game different. And I think next year is the year that he puts it all together. Now, stat wise, Obi might make the biggest leap, right? I mean, he only averaging 8 points, or whatever he's averaging, 6 points.
Right.
He may make the biggest leap, but in terms of impact on the game, I really think he can. And if we don't start him, I really think we got to move off of Derrick Rose so he can at least have free reign in that second unit to really show what he can do.
Yeah. Would you take that chance next season and start him at the point guard spot?
Oh, no.
And just
I
say
wouldn't.
we're gonna figure this out quickly.
I would. I thought you meant take the chance of getting rid of Rose, which is a chance. Um, I don't think I would. I don't think I would, Sim. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on what's the next priority. If the next priority is just development, we make the playoffs, we do. If we don't, it's okay. Then I think you can start quickly on a team like that. But if the Knicks, who the front office said they were disappointed we didn't make the playoffs, they thought they would take the next step. They signed Kemba Fournier, didn't work out. I think they're going to try to upgrade the team to take another step. And on a playoff team, I don't think Quickly is ready to be the head of a playoff bound team just yet. I think he has to work on his decision making, his shot selection. He can score, he can shoot. Figuring out, when do I eat? When do I go for mine? When do I, set my teammates up? That's one of the hardest decisions for these shoot first, score first point guards. So I
Yeah.
still think he needs a little seasoning in that area.
Yes. See, I agree, and I think that this team just needs somebody in the clutch to settle you down, right?
Right.
And if you can't depend on Derrick Rose, which you're just not sure what's going to go on with Derrick Rose as far as his injury history is concerned. Immanuel Quickley's not the guy because I don't think he's settled down himself, right? You need you need an even keel person out there on the floor that can settle you down, get you into your sets when you need to get them there. And I'm not saying that he won't be this guy. I'm just saying right now, I don't think Immanuel Quickley is that guy that's going to settle you down and make those type of decisions. If the Knicks are looking to say, we're a play-in or a playoff team, without a doubt next season, that's what we're going for, which I think that's what they're going for. I just don't see Immanuel Quickley being that guy yet because I still look at him as a straight up and down combo guard, who can give you some minutes at the point guard, who can give you some minutes at the shooting guard spot, who can defend the point guard position, right? While you have a bigger, guard on the floor. Can he grow into it? Yeah, I think that remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. And like you said, finding that balance between knowing when to shoot, knowing when to get people involved, and those type of things, I think, is going to be essential for him. And so, yeah, I do believe he needs some seasoning. But I think, you got to give him that time. You got to give him that time to grow. And, he averaged 23 minutes per game last season. This season that just passed, if the Knicks make some changes, that could get up to 30.
Right.
And he's definitely in Tom Thibodeau's circle of trust.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good term, yes.
Right. So he's going to be out there on the floor. Let me get to this caller here and see what they think about Immanuel Quickley. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live, my man.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm pretty good. How about you? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm great.
So talk to
I
me
just
about
wanted
Quickley.
to talk about the point guard situation as far as it's a lot of guards out here that we pass up on. Like for instance, we right here in New York with St. John's. Shamari Pons 2 years ago was like one of the greatest guards in college basketball, and he's in the G League sitting there. You know what I'm saying? And putting up big points. But that's what we need to get away from, putting up the points. We need to get back to the basics of who can pass. And right now, you know what I'm saying? I believe that, like, right now, if he comes out this year, Yori Collins is the best fit for the Knicks. You know, keep Rose there, and you know what I'm saying. While that way people can, if you want to use what we have at point guard, they can learn off of Rose. But until then, you know what I'm saying, you got other guards. Let's go young. Shamari Pons, or even, like I said, Yori Collins. Look him up. He's a great passer. He done had 19-point assists a game, plus with 14 points or 20 points here. I mean, you got to look him up. That's all I have.
And so what are you doing with Immanuel Quickley?
Immanuel Quickley, I think he could learn under Rose. If you get a good point guard, especially a passing point guard, because see, that's all he needs to learn is the passing game. Once he learns the passing game, he already has the scoring. He learns how to pass. He's definitely a keeper.
Okay. All right. So I mean, but if you're drafting another point guard, I think you create more clutter, right? You got Miles McBride, you got Immanuel Quickley out there. You're probably going to bring in, unless you're starting Immanuel Quickley, you're probably going to bring in another point guard in free agency somehow, some way. So now you got that point guard. I'm not even including Kemba Walker. And let's assume that Derrick Rose, gets traded or moves on or something like that. You still have a glut at point guard if you're bringing in another point guard to be the starter, because you got Quickley, the new point guard that you just drafted. You got Miles McBride. How are you going to work that out?
I really wouldn't keep Miles, truthfully.
Okay.
I don't understand why they drafted him, because it was a lot of picks that they could have picked up on before they picked him up. We needed a whole lot of other stuff than him at that point. But they looked at him as a defensive stopper and everything else. But then again, he said he should have played McBride a lot more early in the season.
I mean, some people.
But I don't think that was the right pick for us, though.
Okay. Some people think that he should have played McBride a little bit more. I'm either way. He could have played a little bit more. He could have not played anymore. He could have stayed where he is, and I would have been okay. I think he, just still needs to come along. I believe he can be a good player in the NBA one day. I don't know if he's ever going to be a starter, but he still needs some time to grow and develop. But hey, my man, thank you. I appreciate your call.
Yeah.
I think this.
Yori Collins, look him up. Yori Collins, that's what we need in New York. He's a distributor and he's a scorer. Check him out.
All right, well, check him out. We're going to be doing our draft coverage very soon. So, as a matter of fact, we're going to start tomorrow night. So,
okay.
All right, appreciate you, man.
Y'all take it easy.
Take it easy.
Yep.
What do you think about that? You drafting another point guard, Steph? I'm not trying to draft another point guard with all the point guards we got right now. You're muted, Steph.
Yeah, correct. I'm with you. I think we got. I mean, they do say if you got a lot, you don't have one. but we got players that could play that position. And will a point guard out the draft be better than McBride right now? Be better than Quickley right now? Remains to be seen. Based on where we're picking, I should say. Based on where we're picking.
Yeah.
Or where we're slotted to pick.
Looking at Immanuel Quickley's contract, do you think? I'll ask this first. Has he outplayed his contract already? Okay, because he makes $2.3 million next season. Then there's a team option for 4.1, and then a qualifying offer for 6.1 in 24-25. Do you think he's already outplayed his contract, and do you think he will be able to outplay his contract in the future?
I mean, if he's outplayed it by just a little bit. I mean, he's probably outplayed it. By a little bit. Listen, we got to keep in mind the Knicks were a losing team. Right. we did not even make the play-in. So, and he shot 39%. So, I mean, he may have outplayed it a little bit. By the time it's over, I think he will definitely have outplayed his contract, no doubt about it.
Yeah, by the time they get to that, I think that they'll probably pick up his team option next season, or whatever team he's on. Will pick up the team option, and then they're going to have to make a decision on whether or not they extend him and those type of things. But I agree. I think he's going to most likely outplay his contract. I'm hoping that he outplays it big time. You know what I mean? That he obliterates his contract That's what we're all hoping from him, that he obliterates that contract. We'll see. Caller, you live. Talk to me. Immanuel Quickley.
Hey.
What's going on?
Hey, Steph.
What's going on with you, man?
Not much. If you want my opinion on what we should do with Quick, I say keep him. And considering what we've got to do in regards to, in terms of his contract, without the player option, Quick is only going to make what, $6.5 million over the next 2 years?
Without the player option, yeah, about that.
And with it, that bumps it up to like what, 12.625 million?
With it, yep, about that.
Okay, that's not that big of a hole in the purse, so I can live with that. That keep him around for at least another 2 or 3 years. The problem is, how often is Thibodeau going to use him? I mean, this year he basically had to use him as often as he did because Rose was basically on the bench almost the entire year because of his foot and ankle. Kemba's knees gave out on him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was
very sporadically, if ever. Thibodeau didn't bother to start him at the one guard instead of putting it to Birch because of pettiness towards the front office is a little annoying to me. You've got basically a diamond in the rough with Quickley, but if you're not going to use him outside of anything other than a backup, why keep him around?
Because you need backups in this league too.
Yeah, you got to have good backups, man.
I know, but I'm saying between Burks and Quickley, the roles should be reversed.
Well, I mean, listen, that's what he chose to do last year, and there could be a number of reasons. Most people are going to say he shouldn't have done it, and maybe you're right. Maybe he wanted to keep as much consistency as he could off the bench and just said, hey, you know what? Burks is going to be the guy. I'm going to keep Quickley working and playing with Obi. Maybe that was one of his goals. You never know what it is. I don't think it's going to be like that next season.
Well, one way we can prove that it's not going to be like that next season is twofold. One, get rid of Noel in a cap dump by shipping him out for like a second-round pick or a low-tier guard or center, big guy. And two, find a way to ditch the Randall contract.
Okay, so how are those two things going to ensure that Alec Burks doesn't start over Immanuel Quickley?
Well, if you think of it this way, it gives Obi more time on the floor and maybe makes him the number one starting four, and this could push Quickley to the front line.
Oh, well, okay, that makes sense. If he wants to keep Obi and Quickley together, that makes sense. With Nerlens Noel, it's neither here nor there. I'm going to tell you this. I think, I wouldn't count on Randall being moved. I wouldn't count on that at all. There's definitely a possibility that Alec Burks and Nerlens Noel are moved, to bring in another player. But if he is moved, okay, talking about Randall, but I wouldn't count on it. If you're a Knicks fan, I wouldn't count on that happening. It's probably not going to happen.
But Randall's regression of his play style is what basically killed the Knicks this year, in my opinion.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Yeah, it was a factor, exactly. I'm not disagreeing with you. It was definitely a factor in, how the Knicks played this season. But still, that doesn't mean that he's going to be moved. And I don't think he's going to be moved because he's not the only person that didn't shoot as well as he did last season. Neither did Immanuel Quickley. Neither did R.J. Barrett. None of these guys shot as well as they did last season. Right now, some people are saying that's because of Randall, and maybe it is. But the facts are the facts. They didn't shoot as well last season. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't. They didn't shoot it. RJ averaged more points because he took more shots, but he didn't shoot as well from the field, and they're obviously not going to trade RJ. With Randall, I think it's more about the attitude. I think that's the biggest thing that you have to figure out. It's more about that than the shooting percentages. I think it's about the attitude, the chemistry with Julius Randle. I think it's those type of things that you have to worry about. Still, I don't think you can count on Julius Randle being moved this offseason. If it happens, it happens. And I'm not saying it can't happen. I just don't think that's what the Knicks are doing this season. if Randall's gonna get moved, first of all, he's in the first year of his contract going into next season. The first year of his contract, which makes it a little bit more difficult to move him because obviously he's not a primetime player, primetime star like that. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to move him because he's in the first year of the contract. Now, when he gets to that second year of the contract, it becomes a little bit easier to move him. And it's not like it's a crazy, crazy contract, but still, it's the beginning of it. You know, so teams are going to look at it and be like, do I want it for 4 years or not? You know what I mean? So, you know, it makes it a little bit more difficult to move Randall. And so I wouldn't expect that to happen. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But then again, if I were to start a point guard, if it's not Quickley, why not give Miles more time on the court instead of leaving him as a third string?
Because I think right now he's a third string point guard. That's why. Just straight up, I think he's a third string point guard. I don't think he's a second string point guard at this point in his career. He's got some ways to go. And that doesn't mean he won't get there. And I have confidence that he will get there one day. But I just think right now he's a third string point guard. But hey, Mets, I know we got some people, you know, that want to call in. I got some other stats I want to get to. I appreciate your time and insight. Appreciate it. You know, people keep asking about Miles and that, and I'm going to bring his coach back on. I want to hear what his high school coach thinks, you know, about his performance and his playing time and all of that. And I think I know what we're going to get from him. I think he's going to say, hey, Miles knows the deal. You know, he's got to wait his turn. He's going to work hard. And, you know, when he gets his turn, he's going to capitalize on it. But I think right now he's a third string point guard. Steph, you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. No doubt about it.
Yeah. You know, I'm not bugging out. I know Cornerstone Cap, that's his guy, and he thinks he should have been, you know, playing 35 minutes a game. I would have liked to see more minutes, without a doubt, but, you know, I'm not going crazy about it. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please. We're on Immanuel Quickley.
Hey, Big Anthony A from LA. How you doing, people?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
Pretty good.
Great. Well, hail to the cream.
Appreciate you.
Got the basketball knowledge. Much respect.
Appreciate you.
I want to get one thing out of the way because I always thought Queen's always right, except when she's wrong. She's really wrong. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you, and here's what I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. You say if we go for the youth, let's say Quickley and stuff, you say we will not win more than 20-something games. Is that correct, Queen?
I may have said that, but I don't think we're making the play-in. Put it that way.
Okay. I'm saying we're going to win more than 44 games next year if we have IQ, D-Rose, and, of course, and Deuce as our point and not bring anybody in at a point and get to the Burks, except with one contingency. We got to get to the Burks, and teams have to actually play in that format of giving the players proper timing. I mean, of course, I'm talking about if he can get Quickley with 30 minutes, let's drop D-Rose with 10, 12, and then McBride fluctuates with D-Rose with about 8 to 10 minutes, somewhere in there. I think that combo with Obi at power is the
Where's
combo
Randall? He's on this team or he's not?
Okay, now with Randall, okay, so again, Randall's a factor to come into play. I really don't want to bring any other point guards into the picture right now. I want to keep it as it is.
My question
I would love to trade Randall. Go ahead.
My question is, because you're saying this team would make the playoffs, would win 44 games. Is Randall on this team? So you're swapping out Obi for Randall. This is your point guard rotation, and you're not making any other changes?
And I'm not making any. I mean, Burks gone. Swapping out Obi for Randall. If Randall can be traded, I would love that. That would be the ideal. I really believe this. Keeping either Mitch or replacing him with someone like Turner, but give us a similar experience, center.
Now you're changing it all up. Now you're making a whole different team. That team, if you bring in Turner, you might be able to get to 44. I'm just saying, if you're switching out Randall for Obi and you're starting IQ, I don't think that's a 44-win team.
No Burks, no. Okay, so that's why I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So when we win 40, after we lose our, let's say, 37th game next year, right? That's about it now. 39th game, right? Now guarantee we'll win 44. If we have that lineup with somewhat of that time frame on that 39th game loss, I'm gonna have you pick any Knicks game left after that. And other than floor seats, I'm gonna get you a seat in the Garden. I'll buy you tickets.
Other than floor seats?
And some food, too. I'll even get them to, bring the food up to you. I'll pay for the food and
All
the
right,
tickets.
and a guest. I'm not going by myself. And a guest.
All right.
Oh!
Yeah.
And a guest.
I mean,
And a guest. Okay.
I don't know. You
Oh,
know.
man. Who, do I pick the guest or you pick the guest?
I picked the guest.
Oh, you're not going to hook your boy up right there next to you? I mean, come on. He's right there next to you, right?
You know,
You and the
It
guest.
can't be a win-win. Even when you lose, you win.
All right. Look, I think I don't know. I agree with Steph. I think if you're starting,
man.
if you're going with Immanuel Quickley as your starting point guard, and you still got Randall and RJ, you got the same squad, but you're just going with Quickley as the starter. I think
No, I'm gonna say quickly,
I don't think we get better.
No Randall. No Burks, no Randall. Obi and Quickley started.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
No.
I don't see us. I mean, I know we won some
You don't
games
see it.
down the stretch of the season and everything, but I don't see us being a playing team with Obi and Quickley as the starting point guard and power forward. I just think in the Eastern Conference, as deep as the Eastern Conference is, if this was 2 years ago, and they were, and they are the players that they are now 2 years ago, maybe you make that play in the playoffs. But right now, with the way the East is right now, the East is deep right now.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see them. I don't
it's
see.
easier then. So here's
I don't
your
see
part.
those
All you
guys
gotta do is
getting
call
it
me the
done.
king. You're gonna just call me the king. That's all I'm gonna say for you. Your
Okay.
part, you're gonna call me the king.
All right.
And we won the 44th game.
Listen, check this
Otherwise,
out.
you get 2 tickets to the Garden, but no, not floor seats. I'm gonna pick, let's say first balcony and above. I gotta be able to control.
Okay,
right?
but check this out though. The 10th seed in the Eastern Conference was 43-39, 4 games above 500. The 10th seed.
Exactly.
I just don't think that starting Quickley and Obi instead of Randall gets you to the 10th seed. I mean, gets you to above 500. I don't. I think the Knicks need more. But hey, my man, I know we got some people that want to call in. I appreciate it. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
All right,
I'll be
man.
looking forward
Remember
to
that next year.
Yeah,
We'll talk next year.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to my
Until
tickets
then.
in the mail.
Right.
Or however you want to do it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to remember. All right. I appreciate
You
it.
got it. All right.
Appreciate you.
All right.
But, some things that go Emmanuel's, that looks good for Immanuel Quickley are some stats that I'm going to bring up. This is by NBA CourtOptix. Okay. And what I'm going to show you here is that Immanuel Quickley actually ran the screen and roll with more of our bigs than anybody else any other guard on the team. All right. We'll look at Kemba Walker. When you look at Kemba Walker, he ran the screen and roll basically with Mitch, with Randall, and with Taj Gibson. He scored the most team points was with Taj Gibson, right? So with Taj Gibson, he did 3.5 screen and rolls per game, and they scored 1.13 points per game out of those screen and rolls. With Randall, 9.9 screen and rolls per game, 1.07 points, and with Mitchell Robinson, 9.8 screen and rolls per game, and that was 1.02 points per game. So that was Kemba Walker. Obviously, Kemba Walker only really played with the starting lineup. All right. Derrick Rose. If you go to Derrick Rose, look, he did screen and rolls with Obi, with Mitch, with Randall, with Nerlens Noel, and with Taj Gibson. And the only person under 1 point per game was with Taj Gibson. And the most was with Obi. Obi, they averaged 1.20 points per game on 3.6 screen and rolls per game. Right? He did the most screen and rolls with Julius Randle. And that was like 1.03 points per game. Alec Burks. He ran screen and rolls with just about everybody, just like Quickley did. But people didn't score as much out of it, right? With Sims, Obi, Mitch, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, Taj Gibson. They all scored above 1 point per game, but it's like 1.05 for Sims, 1.09 for Obi, 1.08 for Mitch, 1.04 for Randle, 1.11 for Nerlens Noel, and then 1.04 for Taj Gibson. When you look at Immanuel Quickley, right? He ran it with Sims, Obi, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, and Taj Gibson as well. And with Immanuel Quickley, the Knicks averaged more points per game with these screen and rolls with Immanuel Quickley, right? With Sims, it was 1.17. With Obi, 1.12. With Mitchell Robinson, 1.15. With Julius Randle, 1.13 points per game per pick and roll. Everybody else with Julius Randle was around 1.03. With Immanuel Quickley, it's up to 1.13. Nerlens Noel, 1.10. And Taj Gibson, 1.12. I don't know. Is that because he's finding these guys, or is it because Quickley is able to score off of that screen and roll as well, which is the reason why the Knicks are scoring higher points with Immanuel Quickley running that screen and roll?
I think that's it, Sam. And we talked about this earlier in the season. I like him in the pick and roll because every option is open to him. He can shoot the three. He can get into the lane. He can hit the roll guy. He can hit those spotting up on the wing. So I think he's really, really good out of the pick and roll. But what I saw there was he didn't really do it. Well, I guess if you're doing it with more people, then the attempts are not gonna be as high because it was like 3 and 4 and whatever. But he was doing it with so many people,
right?
So many players. So that makes sense. Yeah, I like him out of the pick and roll.
Yeah, I mean, he was clearly, the best as far as points being scored. It was clearly better with Immanuel Quickley than with everyone else. It was Immanuel Quickley and then Derrick Rose and then Alec Burks. Obviously, Derrick Rose wasn't there for majority of the season. Kemba Walker was shut down. He only did it with 3 players, and then Alec Burks. You know what surprises me, though, is with Nerlens Noel, Alec Burks, the only person that had, and I don't want to say double digits, but the only person that had, excuse me for the pop-up there, remember this is from NBA's CourtOptix, but the only person that he had, he had the highest points per game in the screen and roll with was Nerlens Noel. That's shocking. That's 1.111. And Immanuel Quickley, even with Nerlens Noel, was 1.10. Now, that's the lowest out of everyone else that's out there. But with Alec Burks, with Nerlens Noel, it was the highest out of everyone that he hit for, a screen and roll. So, I don't know what that means for Nerlens Noel because he can't catch the ball, but you know what I mean? That's surprising. Anyway, with RJ Barrett, RJ Barrett ran screen and rolls. People talk about, wanting him to run screen and rolls with more often. He ran screen and roll with Taj, with Nerlens Noel, with Mitchell Robinson, with Jericho Sims, with Alec Burks, and with Immanuel Quickley. Right, you'll notice he doesn't run screen and rolls with neither Julius Randle or Obi Toppin. Yeah, so he literally, and he plays with both players. He literally has no interaction with that 4-man on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I know when he's with Randall, they play on opposite sides of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it must be the same when Obi comes in for Randall. They just maybe play him the same way on the opposite side.
That's what it must be, that they just play him. They just play him the same way, and and they do the same things. But he literally has no screen and roll interaction with that forward spot. And I guess that's just the way that the offense breaks down. But Immanuel Quickley, though, ladies and gentlemen, he has the best screen and roll numbers as far as scoring is concerned with, every big out there on the floor. I think that is saying something, and it does bode well when you talk about, starting him out there on the floor, and he's did that in 23 minutes per game.
Right.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give me a call, 516-405-2246. I want to hear your thoughts about Immanuel Quickley, whether or not you think he should be the starting point guard. Should he stay coming off the bench, or do you want him traded? Let's talk about that really quick, and then we'll get to Obi Toppin trades. I mean, I would include him in a trade. He's not going to be a sticking point for me if there's something that I really think is going to benefit the team. How about you, Steph?
He wouldn't be, but I think it depends on who. Like, if we're going for Donovan Mitchell, he's not a sticking point, right? It depends on who. If we have to, if Dallas decides that, okay, we will do a sign and trade, would you include him in a sign and trade for Brunson? You know what? So I think it depends on who the player is.
Right. Man, would you include him in the sign and trade for Brunson?
That's a tough. You know why it's tough for me? Because I think Quickley has a higher ceiling, but I don't know if that higher ceiling is at the point guard position. Because I think when people compare Quickley and Brunson, they look at their stats. Well, he's averaging these stats in just this many minutes. When he gets as many minutes as Brunson, he'll probably average more. He might. But when you think about that point guard position, it's more than stats. It's the leadership. It's the poise. It's organizing a team. Knowing, you know what I mean? So he may have a higher ceiling overall than Brunson, but does he have a higher point guard ceiling? I don't think so. I don't think he has a higher point guard ceiling than Brunson. That would be a tough call. That would be a really, really tough call. And what makes it hard, and I have a caller on the line that I'm going to get to as soon as I make this point. What makes it hard is, you draft you draft before you make any kind of moves, right? That's when you're going to draft. So it's not like you can make a move, trade quickly, and then say we'll go get another point guard in the draft. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's not. You've got to. I guess what you would have to do is you would need to have those discussions now, and we got this deal in place for Jalen Brunson, so we can make this move in the draft. Let's bring in another point guard. You know what I mean? I for one would be happy with Jalen Brunson at the starting, and then Immanuel Quickley backing him up. Oh, I would be ecstatic. I would definitely be happy with that. And then after a couple of years, he's behind Brunson after a couple of years, and then that's when you start to take a look. Okay, does he help our team more than Jalen Brunson? You compare the two, but man, You can always move off of a player. Right, exactly. You can always move off of a player. Right. I would love to have that duo as a starting and backup. I think that would be pretty good. And then you have some veteran player that's willing to just hang out on the bench until their number is called. You know what I mean? One of these guys are injured or, whatever happens, fouls out and that player needs to play. Then you got a guy out there that can get it done. Or, you just stick with McBride, as a guy that can get it done. Let me get to the caller quick, and then we'll move on and we'll talk about Obi Toppin some. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, guys. This is Kurt from Long Island.
How you doing? Kurt? You said Kurt?
Yeah, Kurt Weasel.
How you doing, Kurt? How you feeling?
Pretty good. Chiming in on this Quickley discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys got to realize this kid is a franchise point guard. We have to stop, looking for other players when we have the answer on the roster. The kid is a special talent. We have to keep him here.
Okay. So you think he's a franchise point guard. So, you think 15 years from now, Immanuel Quickley is going to be the guy?
No, I think he's the guy now. We just got to get him in the lineup, play him the minutes that he needs to be played. Look at Maxey. Look at what Tyrese Maxey's doing in Philly. This guy's pretty much the same thing or much better. We have to stop looking at other people's players.
Okay.
Kid is a stud.
Okay. And when I say 15 years from now, I don't mean he's going to finally get there 15 years from now. I mean, he's going to be here 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's your franchise. That's what you believe. He's going to be here 15 years running your point guard spot.
Well, if they want to keep him, that's up to them.
Right.
You know, the Knicks do have a tendency of messing up, misevaluating talent, trading guys away, keeping the wrong guys. The kid is the answer. We just got to keep going with it.
Okay.
Kid is a special talent.
Okay, so he's a franchise quality point guard that can be your guy. All right. I don't know, Steph. You think he's a franchise point guard? Immanuel Quickley. You're muted, Steph.
I don't. How many franchise I'm trying to think of how many franchise point guards had to grow into that position. I mean, it's possible. I would have to think long and hard. A lot of the franchise point guards came in out of college with that pedigree. You know, Jason Kidd. I think about Kyrie Irving, who's more of a combo guard. Trying to think a franchise point guard that grew into the position. Maybe Nash, but his playmaking skills was on display even coming out of college. But I guess it's possible. I mean, I guess it's possible.
I can't think of his name. He's in Miami now.
Lowry.
Do you consider Lowry a franchise point guard?
I don't. That's a good question. What do we mean by franchise point guard? Like that he could start on a playoff team or eventually? Yeah, I think he can. When I think of franchise point guards, I think about Doncic. You know, I think about Kidd. I think about Nash. I think about those types of guys.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I'm glad he's got that support out there, though. You know, I mean, I definitely think he can be a starter one day. I didn't, and for a while, I didn't. Like last year, I was like, I don't know. But from some of the things that I've seen this year, I think he can be a starting point guard on a team. You know, is he the type of star? Is he that wizard type of point guard? I don't think he's that. You know what I mean? That's interesting. But hey, what's your name again? Kurt. Thank you for the call, Kurt. I appreciate your time, man.
Giving us something to think about.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, giving us something to think about. Immanuel Quickley. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take one more call and then we'll get to Obi Toppin. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Hey, what's going on, man? My name is Delroy.
What's going on, man? Your thoughts, Immanuel Quickley. What you doing with him?
I'll keep him.
All right. What role are you seeing? The last caller, Kurt, said he sees him as a franchise point guard. Do you see him as a franchise point guard or not? Or what do you see him?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Knicks stuff about him.
You're a little bit low, man. We need a little bit more volume from you. A little bit low.
All right, 1 second. Coming through better?
Yeah, much better.
Yes, much better.
All right. 1 second. Get rid of this too. I apologize about that. Now, what I'm saying, man, I've been hearing a lot of Knicks fans talking about Immanuel Quickley, good, bad, and ugly. To me, he's not a franchise point guard per se, but he's a good piece that you keep around for the future.
Okay.
I see him as a good combo guard. He could sometimes back up the point guard position off the bench as a spark plug, but I don't see him as a starter, at least not as of yet. Towards the end of the season, he did show us, some potential of what he can be in the future, but I just don't. I don't know. I don't see him as a starting quality point guard because he's still a shoot first kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a shoot first, but I guess that's the thing in the NBA today. You know, I don't know if he has to be that style of point guard to start in the NBA today. I don't know if he has to be just a straight up facilitator type of point guard to start in today's NBA. You know what I mean? You can have, you see it all across the league. You got scoring point guards out there. I just think for this particular team, for the New York Knicks, we need to have a guy that can really control the team. And I'm just not sure Immanuel Quickley is that guy yet. So for the Knicks, I don't see him starting next year. Maybe in the future. I think he is trying to learn how to be that guy out there to control the basketball team. But for other teams, if he were to be moved to another team or something like that, they may want to have a scoring point guard starting in that spot. So I wouldn't take it off the table that he could be a starter one day. But I do think for this team, he doesn't yet offer what the Knicks need.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying for our team. I can't talk for every other team in the NBA. I can only attest to what the Knicks have, and what I think they're physically working towards. But right now, the Knicks doesn't have that one guy who can take control of the floor. Yeah, we had Derrick Rose, but his injury history, he's in and out.
Right.
We thought Kemba Walker was coming in to do that. Unfortunately, that didn't work out for us. So we put, and then the experiment with Alec Burke, I watched that. That should have never happened to me, because I think that diminished Alec Burke as a player itself, because everybody started looking at him I think everybody looked at him as the scapegoat. What Alec Burke did, he did his best at a position that we put him in. So that's why, like I said, when we got Immanuel Quickley in there, he did what he needed to do. He showed us potential. I don't see him started. I wouldn't want him starting for this team next year. We actually physically need a facilitating point guard. Some other teams in the NBA probably don't need that because they have someone at another position who can facilitate pretty well and control the court. But from our roster makeup, as of right now, we need a facilitating point guard.
Yeah,
because we don't have someone else who can do that right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. 100%. My man, because you were low, I missed your name before. What's your name again?
My name is Delron, and I used to call in and be on a video chat with you guys. I think last year.
Okay.
But I'm definitely a member. Definitely jumping back in there.
Yeah,
with you
jump
guys
back in.
over for the draft party and stuff like that. So.
All right. Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, I appreciate your time, man. Hope to see you at the draft party. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
Cool.
Got a lot of things lined up for this year. Appreciate you. All right, let's get to Obi Toppin, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why we did them together is because this is Immanuel Quickley's counterpart out there on the floor. I haven't looked at the numbers, but I can almost guarantee that most of Immanuel Quickley's assists come from Obi Toppin, right? So we're going to talk about Obi Toppin in just a second. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that you heard a guy just talking about the draft party that's going on June 23rd in Atlantic City. All right, we want to see you there. All right, we want to see you at the draft party. If you're a member, you have the ability right now to purchase your ticket. I was about to say card. I don't know why. You have the ability to purchase your ticket, ladies and gentlemen. So go purchase your ticket now. You get a 10% discount because you are a member. All right. And join us there. We got a lot of things we're going to be doing. We got live games we're going to be playing, shooting contests, trivia. We got door prizes and giveaways and all kinds of stuff that's going to be going on. Of course, live podcasts. We got 2 live podcasts going on. One that night and then one the day after. And we're hoping to have a basketball game pop off too. All right, so if you're a member, in the description of this video, there's a link. Also, in your YouTube chat, pinned to the top, there's a link. And I'll put the link in the chat again too, just so you can get it, so it can scroll past you, all right? So if you're a member, make sure you get those tickets now. Friday is going to open up for everybody, so everybody can get it. All right, let's talk about Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, man. I know there's a lot of thoughts about Obi, and I'm going to put a poll in the chat in just a second. I'm going to close down the Immanuel Quickley one. But Obi Toppin this season, 9 points per game, 3.7 rebounds, 1.1 assists. He shot 53.1% from the field. He shot 30.8% from the three-point line. And he had to bring that up to 30.8%. At one point, he was shooting like 17, 18% from the three-point line. He shot 75.8% from the free throw line. And he averaged 17.1 minutes per game. And some people are going to say, well, those last few games of the season, are skewing those minutes. And actually, it's not, ladies and gentlemen. If you go and you check out Obi's minutes, they were up and down, but they averaged out to be about 17, maybe a little less, maybe 16.5, but, somewhere around 17. And then, of course, those last few games of the season bumped it up, a little bit. All right, but 17 minutes per game. Last year, I think he was around 11 minutes per game, so he went up about 6 minutes per game. His current contract in 2022, 2023, he'll make $5.3 million. In 23-24, there's a team option for $6.8 million. And then in 24-25, the Knicks would have to give him a qualifying offer of $9.1 million. Right? And then, of course, just like with Immanuel Quickley, if the Knicks give the qualifying offer and he declines it, he'd be a restricted free agent in 2024-25 or 2024. All right. If they do not give a qualifying offer, then he'd be an unrestricted free agent. Then, of course, they have the ability to extend him before he even gets to that point. It's all going to be based on his play, of course. Right? So, Steph, Obi Toppin, what do you think? What's your thoughts?
Definitely keep him. Definitely keep him. I still think he has some room to grow. He can finish at the rim. We talked about this last night at an elite level. And I'm not just talking about his dunking, his body control. He's just the way he operates in space, in the air. It's at an elite level. His mid-range, he has to develop. His three-point shot, he has to get better at. He has to get better in the post. And at this point, he can't create his own shot. So at that point, he becomes limited offensively. I see flashes, but still limited offensively. So I think he has some work to put in. I think he'll do that this summer. I think the number one thing, and Tony Crow said that, is that if he can get his three-point shooting up to 35, then they have to respect that.
Right.
Then that opens up him putting the ball on the floor, if he's working on that, to be able to get to the rim. So I think that's the next step, is really getting proficient in the three-point shot to begin to open up his game.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. He shot 50%, like the last 5 games, like 50-something% from the three-point line, right? Or something crazy like that. Obviously, that's not going to be sustainable.
Right.
What I'm hoping is those few games, he just got a little bit more comfortable. He was in a little bit more rhythm, and it's going to allow him to, find that rhythm going into next season so that he shoots, like 35%. I don't think he's a 30.8% three-point shooter for the remainder of his career. I really don't. I think that he does get up about 35, 36, maybe even higher percent. He shot that way in college, and he shot it from deep in college. So I do think he can get up there. With Obi, it's all about confidence, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all about confidence in himself. He has things that he needs to work on, obviously. But if he's confident, and I think it wavers with him, and Tom Thibodeau's the kind of coach. That's the thing about Tom Thibodeau, right? He's tough. And he's going to scream, and he's going to holler, and he's going to yell. And if you're not tough as a player, it can break you down, I think. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It can make you wilt under the pressure and lose confidence. I do think that kind of coach can do that. But if you're strong as a player, I think it can make you better, a lot better. With the way that I'm not saying he's just all negative reinforcement, because I don't think he is. I think he gives a lot of positive reinforcement. But when it comes to the games, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be a quick hook. With Tom Thibodeau, if you're not in that circle of trust yet. I think he's maybe worked his way in there, but I still think that Obi deals with some confidence issues in himself as a player. And part of it is probably the route that he had to take. You know, all of those experiences play into how you feel about things. I can remember when I was in like the 8th grade and I got cut, right? And then every single year throughout my high school career, I was afraid that I would get cut again. No matter what my status was on the team. You know what I mean? And throughout my high school career, I was the starting point guard, but I was afraid every season I was going to get cut. And I'd be nervous going into tryouts. And people are like, why are you nervous? Like, you're a senior. You've been here for however many years. You know you're not getting cut. But I'd be nervous. You know what I mean? And when you look at his career and the way that he got to the NBA, you know, he wasn't always, you know, he wasn't highly scouted. He wasn't highly recruited. You know, so he had a journey to get to the NBA, you know, and a lot of times he had to start from the bottom and work his way up. You know what I mean? And that can give you confidence, and it can also, you know, show that there are times when your confidence gets knocked, and then you got to find your way back. And I think that's what Obi is like. I think he's that kind of a person. You know, maybe he gets knocked a little bit, but he finds his way back and figures it out. And I hope that he figures it out with this team. I want to keep him. You know, I don't know how it's going to look in the future with him and Julius Randle, but I think if you end up having 2 starting caliber power forwards, 2 starting caliber of any position on your team, and you've got to make a decision between one of those guys, that's a good thing for your team, because that means you have talent, and then now you also have the ability to move one of those talents to bring in help at another position that you might need. You know, so I want to see him continue to develop. We talked last night, right? We talked about his ability to finish, right? Because he has great body control, really soft hands around the rim, the ability to square his body to the rim, also the ability to contort his body in different ways to score. You know, it makes him, I think, the best finisher on the team. You know, if he can combine that with footwork, man, you know, you got something going if he can combine that with footwork. And I don't know, maybe that footwork doesn't develop for him until he's 27, 28. He's 25 now, right?
Yeah.
25. Maybe that footwork doesn't fully develop until he's 27, 28. Because you can still, even at that age, develop footwork if you're continuously working on it.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing, continuously working on it. There just comes a time when, you know, your body can't get faster, you can't jump higher, and it starts to slow down. And then you're still learning stuff, but you can't do it at a certain level because, you know, your body just doesn't let you. You know, if he's still learning it into 27, 28 years old, maybe there comes a time, you know, around that time when, you know, you really start to see what he can do offensively.
Right.
You know, a lot depends on, you know, what his trainers are working on him with, you know, what he sees for himself, and, you know, how he's working during the off season, you know, to develop those skills. Let me ask you this before I get to the phone call. I got Tony on the line.
Mm-hmm.
How does he, because defense is another area that we talk about with him. How do you develop that defense?
That's a good question. I'm thinking there's going to have to be a lot of film work.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of just pointing out where he's supposed to be and helping him understand the concepts around, why he needs to be there. And then I think, you know, in 5-on-5 games, you know, your coach is just working with you on the defensive end. Yeah, you're playing both ends as well. But I would do 5-on-5s where we're like, listen, y'all here just for Obi. I'm gonna be calling multiple timeouts to point things, you know, out to him, and that's how it's gonna have to be done. But that being said, so that'll help his positioning, his team defense. You know, hopefully, you know, keep pointing it out to him. His defensive IQ will increase, but then it's the footwork, son.
Yeah.
It's that lateral quickness, is being able to guard in space, even at the 4 position, baseline extended. It's a shorter space, but you still are guarding in space. The footwork is going to be super important there. So I hope that's something he's working on.
Right. right? And you can work on, your offensive. I mean, you can spend, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours a day just working on offensive and defensive footwork,
Right.
But then, of course, putting those, like you said, putting those concepts in action,
Right.
not just working, you work on your footwork and, dropping your right foot, dropping your left foot in different things. But at some point, like you said, you got to go over the film, have a group of guys out there and just, here's what you do in these situations, right? And it would be nice if the video staff or the training staff had the, whoever the videographers are, break down plays for Obi and say, look at these defensive plays. Maybe they have him doing it the wrong way and doing it the right way. And then he can look at it, see it happen, and then go right out onto the floor and do it over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Until it's second nature. The problem with defense, though, you can break down those plays and do it, but it's always going to bring something new. And you're always going to have to make a new decision about where do I rotate? Which player do I get? You know what I mean? And there's always going to be a new scenario. The good defenders just get it and know how to make the decision.
Right. Correct.
When that scenario comes about. Some players just don't get it and can't make those decisions when those scenarios come about. Hopefully he's not that guy.
I think he might be some. Coming out of college, this was the same knock on him. His defensive IQ, getting lost. The same thing right there in his scouting report. He's 2 years in already, and it's the same thing.
Right. Yeah, that makes it tough. And a quick correction on his age. He's 24. Just turned 24 on March 4th. So, he's got a whole nother year before he's 25. Let me get to the call. Tony, you on the line?
Yes, sir.
What's popping with you, brother? How you feeling, man?
I'm good. You guys hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Peace, Queen. Shout out to the chat. Hit that like button. Peace, Sim.
Appreciate you.
I had the phone muted, right? And I'm listening, and I'm screaming at the phone. I'm screaming at you because you're taking all my points. I'm like, I'm not even on the screen. and you still got me. But I guess I got a couple more points that I could hit up. As far as let me go back real quick because the phone lines is on crazy. I've been trying to get in for like 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Back when you talked about Noel and him being the highest rated in the pick and roll, and questioning his hands. I think part of that is he's one of the best screeners on the team. So it may not be him getting the basket, but him really giving the opportunity to Quickley and Burks when he sets that screen. So I was interested in your thoughts on that. Maybe I'm far off, but that's the only thing I could think of. As far as it's definitely keep him.
As far as Obi?
Yeah, definitely keep Obi. My thoughts on his defense. I think if we can run that small ball unit, and put him at the 5 rather than the 4, mm-hmm. and leave Randall at the 4, I think he has the athleticism to at least be a threat defending the rim. It's going to be about positioning. I think it'll be better suited for him trying to guard the rim and jumping straight up and using that athleticism to protect the rim more than having him more on the perimeter at the 4 and things of that nature. Obviously, it's always going to be pick and rolls or switches where they try to get him away from the rim, but I think he probably would be best suited defensively, just trying to guard the rim and athleticism. And obviously, he's going to have to pick up the footwork and the positioning and everything else, no matter what. But at least use one of his strengths to his advantage defensively. That might suit him. Definitely better than using him at the 3 to play him with Randall, or Randall, necessarily playing the 5. But he's going to have to get a lot stronger, I think. I think he's going to need to do that anyway. That'll help him out down low and positioning and things of that nature. But, yeah, I'm definitely saying keep him. And I think you had another question in there, but I can't remember what it was.
Well, the next thing that we're getting into, I wanted to go back and talk about the Noel just really quick. I think I agree with you, right? It was really Alec Burks where he had the highest points per possession, in the screen and rolls, Alec Burks. And then, his was, with Immanuel Quickley, it was 1.10 or something like that. And with Alec Burks, it was 1.11. And I think I agree with you. He's probably it's probably because he sets, good enough screens to allow those guys to get out in space and then be able to score. You know what I mean? When they get out in space. As far as Obi, playing more of the 5, my only concern is would he be strong enough, depending on who's at the 5, would he be strong enough to defend those guys down low? If they're posting them up and trying to score, if the Knicks went small ball and, he's playing against Rudy Gobert, can he defend Rudy Gobert? Is he strong enough to defend Rudy Gobert down there or whoever it might be? That's my only concern there.
I agree. He's going to have to get stronger to do it. But I just think, I agree. He's going to have to get stronger. But it's going to be less about positioning, in if he's in that center position as opposed to the 4. It's going to be less worried about getting beat back door or kind of losing his man, because majority, traditionally the center is going to be in that post. And obviously I'm not talking about anything long term or starting them together. But, in spots, just to kind of get him the more minutes that I think, Tibbs has recognized that he's going to have to figure out. And then also maybe using a zone lineup with him when he's on the floor in spurts. Right. We haven't seen a lot of it from Tibbs, but that may be something else that could help him defensively. And everything else, he's just going to have to work on, and it's going to be a slow progression. Obviously, we're not expecting him to become a all defender, and especially not over the course of a season or two. It's going to have to gradually progress. But there's little things that I think we could put him in a position where he's less of a liability defensively and kind of uses his strengths to his advantage defensively.
Right. And Uncle Fulio in the chat said the whole purpose of small ball is to exploit matchups. I'd rather have Gobert scoring instead of Mitchell and the rest of their shooters. But this wasn't just about Rudy Gobert. It's about other centers that, would he struggle to defend them down low if he's playing in that small ball 5? It wasn't just about Rudy Gobert. And I agree, though. You do it in just, short stints. I still think I would rather have Julius Randle defending the opposing 5 because he's a little bit stronger, and have Obi defending the 4 out on the wing. On the opposite side, on the offensive side, I don't know if it really matters, which way you really go. You know what I mean? Now trades. How do you feel about using Obi Toppin in the trade?
I'm right with Queen. What Queen said, it's really based on who the return is. You know what I mean? I'm not moving them just to move them. Obviously, I want them here. Mm-hmm. But if it's the right guy and it's something that I feel puts us in perennial playoff contention, then I have to consider it. Anything to better the team, but right. It got to be for the right person, the right move. I'm not in a rush to do it. I don't think you got to move one or the other. You know what I mean? I think you got to figure out how to utilize the both of them if they're both popping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then obviously you if you find something better, greater, or a better fit, you know what I mean, you use that. But it's a tough decision because, you know, similar to how you describe Knox, but on a higher level, he brings something to the table that nobody else on this team does. You know what I mean? Like even I would say the closest is maybe Mitch with the lobs and things of that nature, but Obi's offensive potential is way higher, way greater. You know what I mean? Like he's already has the open, the green light to shoot. Like we want more from him, and we've seen more from him. So yeah, I'm not just dumping him or giving him away or moving him to because we have two good power forwards. I don't think we need to do that immediately. But yeah, shout out to you guys. I'm gonna keep watching. I know the phone lines is busy as mad. People holding and waiting and calling back. So yeah, y'all doing your thing up there together.
Appreciate it.
I hope me and the Queen look as good as you two up there. You know, you guys are doing great. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. Hit that like. Sim, Queen, salute.
Appreciate it.
This is what I'll say to that, Sim.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different with the IQ thing, because if you trade Obi for a different position, you still have a power forward.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Now, this Randall thing is really mucking things up in the sense that if the Knicks are very clear that they just signed Randall to an extension, we are not moving off of this guy. We still believe in him. No matter what we think as fans, we still believe in him. He's our power forward going forward. I think you have to move. Oh, I mean, like, I just don't see a path forward with both of them unless Obi just takes off to the point where he just forces the Knicks' hands.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing about minutes, right? You know, Tony was talking about, you know, finding a way for Obi to get minutes, right? And that's the thing about that's the tough part. How does he get more than 17 minutes with Randall here? You know, how do you get him up to 23? Tom Thibodeau isn't he's not comfortable with going with the small lineup where Randall and Obi are playing the 4 and the 5. You know what I'm saying? So maybe short stints, but he's not comfortable with doing it for any significant length of time. You know what I mean? So, you know, how do you find those minutes unless you're just going to cut Randall's minutes down to, say, 30 minutes a game?
Even then, it's just 18 minutes.
Even then, it's just 18. Right. You know, so
it's going to be a problem if they don't move Randall. It's going to be a problem.
Right. Or if they don't move one of them. If they don't move one of them, it just might be a problem. And maybe they take this year and let it play out this year and kind of see where Obi is, because they have a team option for 23-24. Right now, then that's another year down from Julius Randle's contract, which makes it a 3-year contract.
Right.
That fourth year, the fourth year is a player option, which may be more digestible for another team.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they were to look to move Julius Randle, you know, because if Obi is really, if he's really popping, you know what I'm saying, and the team is just better with him at that point in time, you really have no choice but to move Randle.
But to move him. No doubt about it.
Yeah, you have.
I don't think we're there yet, though.
Right. I don't think we're there yet. You know, the sample size, I think, is just too small, especially at the point in the season and the teams that you were playing at that point in the season. I think the sample size is too small. You got to see it on a more consistent basis. The hard part is, how do you get to see it when Randall's going to be gobbling up the minutes? You can only go by the minutes that he's playing and then kind of extrapolate those numbers. That's really all you can go by. You know, either extrapolate, maybe not even extrapolate the numbers, but just knowing when he's out there, this is how the team is looking and how they're playing. You got to give him some chance to play with the starters, though, to see how that would look. So if it's, let's just say it's Brunson, RJ, Evan Fournier, Randall, and Mitch. Right? You gotta give him 3 minutes a game with Brunson, RJ, Fournier, Mitch. Talking about Obi Toppin, so that you can see how how he works and what happens and what transpires during that time. Call you live. Tell me your name and where you're from.
What's going on, Sim? My name is Zay.
So what's going on, Zay?
Bronx. Shout out to that. Shout out everybody there.
Appreciate you.
I just wanted to have a little quick brief intake, about the whole OB situation and Randall.
All right.
Me personally, like if I'm the Knicks front office, I'm gonna have to get rid of Randall, man, because he been here for like how many seasons? Like four seasons, 3, 4 seasons.
This season that just passed was his 3rd season.
Yeah, he only had like one good season, which was like last year or whatever. I feel like he served his purpose. This year was like a bad year for him, man. As far as like his attitude, I feel like that ruined the whole I won't say it ruined the whole chemistry for the team, but I feel like situations like that could be a situation where it could affect the team. And obviously with Coach Tibbs, it's like he's not putting his foot down on Randall. So I feel like me personally, in order for Obi to get those minutes, we're going to have to get rid of Randall, man. And also, too, I don't mean to get off topic, but like with the point guard situation, I don't know if it's just me. I feel like I don't feel comfortable with having IQ as the point guard, like the starting point guard. I feel like I'm used to seeing him play the 2 on the bench with D Rose. I feel like he has a good connection with D Rose on the bench. Don't get me wrong, he did good as the point guard though when Tibbs had Alec Burke not play as the point guard for certain games. But me personally, I feel like if I'm gonna run with our starting point guard, I'm gonna have to look into like a player like Colin Sexton. Like I don't know what it is. I just feel like a player like him for our team will like be a good look for us. Like he's young, he's fast, he could put up boards. I feel like he could get a lot of certain team members on the team involved, and he could score. He could put the ball in the hole. Like I feel like that would be a good look for us if we was to pick up somebody like him.
Okay, so you'd rather Colin Sexton over Jalen Brunson because the Knicks are hot on Jalen Brunson.
That's the thing too, because I like Brunson, man. He's doing his thing right now in the playoffs. I ain't gonna lie. But Brunson, I feel like with that situation, because it's like he's going off in the playoffs, and I'm pretty sure we ain't the only team that's going to try to throw him the bag. So I feel like with a player like him, I don't know. I don't want to have to give up, I don't even know how much we probably have to give him. But if it's like a lot of money, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Like, I feel like the player that's just, you're going to have to give him some time to actually, pay him as that person, like he's the man of the team or whatever, as that point guard.
Yeah, I think he's looking. I think his contract is going to be somewhere between $20 and $25 million a year.
Okay,
that's what I think is going to turn
I'll
out.
say if we don't do something with the point guard situation, then we just gonna have to probably try to get him. Like we already know, like he already has ties to the New York Knicks. I think his father has like a relationship with the front office or something like that.
Yeah.
So something of that nature or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, if we could get him, by all means, to give him the bag, man. If he could be able to turn up for us in New York, let's do it. But other than him, I feel like somebody like Colin Sexton is like I really like that dude. I just want to see all the young cats just prosper and just do good. Like Randall, he was all right for the time being, but it's just like I feel like with him, he just does too much at times. I really want to see Obi do his thing.
Yeah.
For the last couple seasons, for the last games and the last seasons of the games or whatever, those 4 games he done turned up. He done dropped like 30, damn near like 40, I think.
Yeah,
I feel like he
was cooking.
He has a peak to him that he need to unleash.
Yeah, he was cooking. He was balling. He definitely stated his case and let Tibbs in the front office know that he can ball too. So, he's got to do it in training camp, and when he gets, and force that front office and Tom Thibodeau to make a decision. You know what I mean? That's the best way to do it. You get in training camp and force them to make a decision. That's the best way to do it. But Zay, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for the call.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be a tough one, man. With Obi Toppin in the way. Let me ask you, Steph. Do you think? And I know people got mad at me, for even putting it out there. It was calling me crazy and all kinds of stuff in the chat. Is there any kind of possibility that Obi can play the 4, Randall can play the 3, and you can have another center out there on the floor? Whoever it is, and I'm not even talking about as a starting group, just stints on the floor. You know what I mean? 3-4 minute stint.
Oh, yeah, because Randall could defend a 3. He has, put it this way, he has the footwork and the defensive IQ to defend a 3. The issue with Randall is effort and energy and engagement. So 3, 4, 5 minutes a game, I think he can defend a 3. Offensively, at the 3, he's not a good 3-point shooter. I don't know how much he's going to be stretching, stretching the floor.
Mm-hmm.
His mid range is not great either, as of late. And then I wonder offensively, the between the two of them, Obi is best when we're running and we're in transition and the floor is spread.
Right.
Maybe we can hit him in early transition, and then if they stop that, then we move into our half-court sets where we'll feature Randall and have Obi on the other side and the foul line extended or something like that. It can work. It can work, especially for 3, 4, 5 minutes. But Randall would have to be committed on the defensive end because the wings in the NBA.
Yeah, and you would need to have in my opinion, in that situation to make sure you got good enough spacing on the floor. You would need to have a center that can shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that way you have more options on ways that you can spread the floor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because now, if that was the case, and depending on who they had guarding Randall, you could put Obi in the corner, you could put that center in the corner, and then let Randall be there in the box.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And clear that space out for him. But let me get to this phone call, because this guy got all kinds of noise going on in the background and all that kind of stuff.
In the bodega.
Bro, it don't matter if this guy is on video. It don't matter if he's on video or if he's on phone. Somehow he disrupts the show with noise in the background. Isaiah, what's good, man?
First and foremost, man, it's a good day. You know what I'm saying? We're alive. It don't matter if there's noise or not. We're making good, positive noises. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Mm-hmm. I know.
Okay.
Come on. What you got to say, man? Spit it out. I don't know what.
So don't get mad at me. I was on the phone. I remember we're talking about Obi, right? And Obi and Randall playing together.
We're talking about Obi and just what his minutes and things are gonna look like next year.
So I mean, Steph has been making a great point about it though, which is great because she's right. Is that to me, they both can't be here because you're going to be depriving one of the other if you prioritize the other one. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Obi needs the minutes because to me, I feel like Obi's going to be on this team currently is going to be best used getting 30 minutes. And that's just not going to happen because Randall has to play. Randall's going to play at least 32 to 33 minutes a game, And I think Obi, production-wise, is best used with 30 minutes.
I mean, see this. What I just don't want people to be too much fooled by those last few games of the season.
Oh, listen, I'm not fooled by the last game because again. At the end of the season, teams, we all know how it is at the end of the season with certain teams and everything. So you have to take what he did with a grain of salt. But I would say that if you believe that he can average, let's say 18 points on good efficiency, you got to give him at least 25 to 30 minutes a game. That's what I believe in. But also, it wouldn't be fair to Randall, even though a lot of us feel about Randall. It wouldn't be fair to Randall to cut his minutes when he has been All NBA. He has made an All-Star team. What I'm saying? Even though
that's why I just don't know. I think, like Steph said, I don't know if we're at the point now. Right now, I don't know if you're at the point where you're like, yeah, Obi has to be that guy right now. We got to move. I don't think he's there yet. I think there's still some things to prove.
Well, here's my
still
big thing, though, Sim,
think there's
about the
some
Randall
things to
thing, and no shock. Surprisingly to me, it's more about just the attitude, right? So when it comes to for me, I don't know, and I don't know if the Knicks could afford to have another season where if Randall has a bad attitude. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. To me, you can't have that 2 years in a row.
I mean,
when it comes
I
to
get
him.
it. I get all that, and you got, I mean, you can make a move. It's not like the summer's the only time you can make a move. You can make a move, but I just don't know. I still think it's more time. I think that Obi still has to prove it. I'm sorry. Those last few games, it's all great. It's all good, but I don't think you can hold a lot of stock in those last few games because you take 82 games in the season. Now teams are scheming ways that how we're going to shut you down. You got endurance. Do you have 30 minutes a night endurance in you? You know what I'm saying? Like all of those things come into play. I think you still gotta give it some time with him. I just don't think it's there yet. He's got to put that kind of pressure where every time he steps out on the floor and gets his 20 minutes a game, the team looks so good. Even when he's playing with the starting group, the team looks so good. You're like, okay. And I'm not talking about looking good, not just looking good, but actually winning that portion of the basketball game or playing good, impacting the game that you're like,
Sam,
okay, this has to stay.
Sam, you know who Obi should look at tonight? You know who Obi should look at to not emulate his game, but look how he plays? You should look at that kid from the Celtics, Grant Williams, is his name, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't
You know
know.
I'm talking.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, right. No, not Robert. It's the light skinned kid, the number 12, I think.
I'm not sure, but go ahead.
Yeah.
What happened, Steph?
No, I said go ahead. I said I know who you're talking about.
I was saying, yeah, I'm talking about him. I would love for Obi to emulate his game a little bit, to see how he plays deep. Again, he's not probably going to be the good defender as a kid, but see how he does the corner threes and everything like that, and spaces the floor and helps out with team defense. I think, Obi should look at that. If we're going to keep Randall, I would like him to play a role like that kid on the Celtics. And I think Obi could possibly do that because the shot has gotten a little bit better over the course of the season. It's just, again, for me, I would rather just trade Randall now just because I just don't want to deal with the attitude and stuff like that. But, we'll see. Like you said, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see because then a lot of people are going to be mad if you put Obi in there and then, the team is worse. 18 points ain't always the same 18 points. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Impact, the way that you impact the game means a lot. You know what I mean? And there's just some things that I see with Obi out there, especially on the defensive side. And people can say, oh, well, Randall's not this great defensive player. But you know what? When Randall's out there, guys not getting open dunks at the rim. I'm sorry. But when Obi's out there, like you see in those last few games, and guys are getting open dunks at the rim, part of it is because of those defensive rotations. You know what I mean? And then the rebounding is a factor too. Right. So there's just some areas I want to see Obi improve on first.
It's not, and Sam, it's the skill level.
Yeah, the skill level.
It's the skill level.
It's a big difference.
He scores by running. He scores in transition. He scores off backdoor dunks at this point. He's gotten a little better at 3. You understand? We play a slow pace. We play a half-court game. That's not conducive to Obi's game. It's just not. Right. So if he wants to be successful next season, the way we play, he has to develop that 3-point shot. And when they close out on him, he has to be able to put the ball on the floor. Yeah. You have to have skills. It's not just running and jumping and dunking. And you got to be able to hit the 3. You got to be able to, when they close out, I could put the ball on the floor now and I can hit the mid-range. I could put the ball on the floor. I can go all the way to the basket. If they double me when I drive, I got the wherewithal and the playmaking skills to hit the open man. It's all of that.
All of that.
I don't see that in Obi's game just yet. So when we're talking about starting him, we think that this is synchronized swimming because it looks good when he's out there on the floor and it's free flowing and it does look better. But we're talking about wins. You're not getting no points because it looks better. It's not gymnastics, right? You got to get
Right.
points by putting the ball in the basket. I think Obi has to up his skill level. He has to be he can't get a basket on his own. He has to be unlocked by a point guard. You can't give the ball to Obi anywhere on the court and say, get me a basket other than in transition.
Right.
Those are the skills you need if you want to start in this league and have an impact in this league. Now, if you got a strong team, like a great center, a great point guard, a great off guard, and all you need from Obi is to play this small role on a team like that, he can do it.
He can do it.
He can do it.
Like when you look at Phoenix and Mikal Bridges, right? He's not
Right.
creating a shot.
Right.
You know, he's shooting threes, he's getting the ball in transition, but he also is a great defender.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But you got all these other pieces around him, you know, not around him, but all these other pieces that they can do those things. If you got Obi out there, he's got to be a defender, and then he's got to you got to have the other pieces that can do those things. You know what I mean? But he's got to make sure he's doing his defensive thing out there too. I seen someone, I think it's Bo Ishmael, in the chat said, you know, Randall's got beaten to the basket plenty of times. I'm not saying he hasn't, and I'm not even saying that Obi is Obi got beat and that's why the guy got dunks at the rim. That's not the reason why the player got a dunk at the rim, because he beat Obi. That's not the reason. The reason is because there was a mix-up in rotation between him and R.J. Barrett, and it had happened a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, guys was wide open making a layup, and those two guys are looking at each other like, who's supposed to be doing what? You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times it's because Obi, you know, that gets confused on, you know, what he's supposed to be doing in those rotations. You know, he's got to learn how to do it. But I agree, that impact, you know, people sometimes don't get it. That impact means a whole lot. You know what I mean? You can have a player scoring 18 points a game on a team that's not very good, and a player scoring 18 points on a team that's good, and those two 18 points per game are very, very different. The players get them in different ways, and if you swap those players, the teams may swap records. You understand what I'm saying?
No doubt. Can I address somebody in the chat?
Yeah.
Rayology, who I respect. Blanche Tears, Queen's Court, at least in the chat. What does Randall do that is undeniably better besides 2010 and 15? You know, it's like, what are we doing? What are we besides 2010 and 15? I mean, that's a lot. He is inefficient, but he does a lot of things better. He has better defensive IQ than Obi. He has better footwork than Obi. He's inefficient because he's guarded tightly, and teams are gunning for him, you know, in terms of their game plan. If teams game plan for Obi, he probably wouldn't even score a basket. You know, he's just and that's no disrespect to him. He needs to marinate a little bit. He's just not there. You game plan for Obi the way they game plan for Randall, he's averaging like 5 points a game. I mean, come on. Randall is a better player than Obi right now. Period. Skill-wise, he's better. He can get shots from different foot. Now, is he very efficient? He's had a bad shooting game, but he's been more efficient from at least the mid-range prior to this season. The three-point shooting, he was never good. But so you can't even compare the skill level right now.
You can't.
5 years from now, 3 years from now, he could turn out to be a better player than Randall. But right now, you cannot compare their skill levels. You just can't.
Right. And Cecil McCathern said, who cares about footwork?
What?
Bro, if you don't care about footwork, I mean, footwork is the basis of you playing basketball. You need footwork to be effective as a basketball player. You know what I mean? And so that's all I'll say to that. you gotta have footwork, bro. You gotta have footwork.
And how do you game plan for Obi? He runs everywhere, everyone off the court. This is how you game plan for him. You slow the court, you slow the game down, and you play half court. That's how you game plan for Obi.
Yep.
Or any player like Obi who scores in transition.
Yeah. And when you get into the
Sim.
playoffs, the game becomes a lot slower. Watch these playoff games. They're half-court games. Yeah, there's some transition buckets, but they're half-court games, and it's a grinded-out type of basketball game.
Hey, Sim.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look at the Memphis Grizzlies, right? They were a run-and-gun team. And really look at this. They were a run-and-gun team all season. They get to the playoffs. They've been down 20 points almost every game. It's just the Timberwolves have been so bad that they've come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and mind you, the Memphis Grizzlies were number 2 in the West, and they've been a run-and-gun team. And when they got to the playoffs, listen, if the Timberwolves weren't so bad and doing historically collapses during the game, this series would have been over.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know what I'm saying? But you know, except how long you gonna be on? Because I was gonna hop on a video chat.
Just a couple more minutes, really. We've been on for almost 2 hours, man. You late.
I'm sorry, man. I had to work, man. You know, we all made men like you know, brother.
Late. JJ47K said, he's a second-year player. Let him continue to develop. That's where I'm at with it.
That's where I'm at,
That's
too.
where I'm at with it. Let him develop.
That's where I'm at.
And prove that he deserves to take over that spot. And when he's ready, he takes over the spot. Okay. But Zay, I appreciate it because I'm about to head up out of here. All right.
So I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man.
All right, Queen.
Later.
Okay.
In the chat, as far as the poll is concerned, 94% say keep them, 6% say dump them. So, yeah. I think most people want to keep Obi. I want to keep Obi. I want to see him develop, and hopefully, he creates that kind of positive problem that the Knicks have where you're like, okay, what do we do now between him and Randall? I hope so. Any last words, Steph, before we get out of here?
Go Knicks. Let's put together a team that's better. Let's keep our young guys in their proper roles. Let them continue to develop. Let's not be so quick to put them in situations that they may not be able to handle.
Yeah.
I think we got a good young core, probably the best young core we've had in a long time, if not ever. And Rayology, I don't remember you saying supremely better than Obi, but you can even say Randall's supremely better as well in some respects. But anyway, great show, great shows. Sam, I'm loving this keep them in and dump them segment.
Yeah, we still got a lot to get through, so we got a lot to get through. I appreciate you, Steph, for taking the time.
Absolutely.
And we are going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Just remember, in the YouTube chat, in the description of the video, you got a link. If you're a member, click on that link. You can buy your ticket to the draft party. You get 10% off on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be open to the general public, open to everybody. If you put your name on the list, you should have an email so that you can purchase your tickets now. All right? So check your email, check your spam. It may have went to your spam, and I'll send out another email tomorrow morning. All right? So make sure you start getting those things done. Reserve your hotel room before that's sold out. All right? And ladies and gentlemen, I am going to get up out of here. I appreciate your time. SB Gorilla said, read the super chat, but I didn't see a super chat.
I didn't see a super chat either.
I didn't see a super chat anywhere. So, if you had a comment, you can make the comment, but I don't know. I don't see the super chat unless it's going to take a while to get here. If I don't see it, then, I'll read it in the next one, SB Gorilla, but I don't see the super chat come through anywhere. All right, but anyway.
I didn't see it. Make sure that credit card is connected to your account.
Yeah. You said he sent 2, but I
sent 2.
I don't. Let me check. Let me check somewhere behind the scenes and see. But I don't see it. I mean, I'm behind the scenes, but I don't see it anywhere.
I was scrolling too. I didn't see it, and it'll usually come up in the chat as well.
Yeah, it usually comes up there, but I didn't see it anywhere. So SB Gorilla, I apologize if I didn't get it or didn't see it. All right. But this is what I do. If I find them, I will make sure I respond in a video itself. If it comes through later or whatever happens, I'll respond in the video itself. All right, I'm checking in the back end in the actual YouTube dashboard, and I don't see it. I don't see it. So I'll keep looking. But anyway, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your time. Please make sure if you are a member, you click on that link, get your tickets to the draft party. If you put your name on the list earlier, check your email because it's in there. And if you're a member, you get 10% off. So go take care of that. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.